I'm never going to be the guy calling for people to get fired. I know what that's like. Don't wish that on anyone. I am really surprised by the level of job security some of these general managers have.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Power Rankings Tuesday. And believe it or not, our final Power Rankings Tuesday for the 2024 NFL season. We are still 5 days a week through the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl, we will go to 3 days a week. But as a reminder, you can always listen or watch youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL, the College Draft Podcast, as we really dive in to NFL draft talk and NFL draft prospects, in particular after the college football season ends, right when it's time to go ahead and only do 3 episodes here on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. We'll still do the Even Money Betting Show and the Fantasy Feast Show year-round as well on a weekly basis. That's when we have a bunch of interviews and learn more about how to improve in both those areas. It's kind of fun to have that time to discuss those things. So we're still daily through the Super Bowl. This is the final power rankings of the season. They are going to be presented, of course, by Labatt. Drink some Labatt Blue Lights. This incredible football weekend we have coming up Thursday through Monday night with your friends. Live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly beer. Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. I can maybe tell you about how you can win some stuff later on in the show. I want to dive into it, though. Let's get to the big show, which is the only show today.
It's time for the all-important Power Rankings. The worst team in the history of the NFL is...
All right, Ross, we'll start our power rankings with the Tennessee Titans at 32nd, who started the year at 27.
Can't remember if I said we were presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours, but I did now. Oh, that's cool. You said how they started the year, Jack?
Correct, yes.
What were they to start?
27th.
Okay. You know, all these teams at the bottom are about the same to me. You know, the Titans are just coming off. They lost their last 6 in a row. They did not look good against the Texans that played a lot of backups on Sunday in the game I called for CBS. They have the number 1 pick. So I'm putting them last. Could just as easily be the Browns or the Giants or some of these other teams. But the way the Titans finished, they kind of earned it.
31st, the Cleveland Browns, who started at 10.
Wow. That's a big drop. That is cool. Not cool that the Browns had that much of a drop, but cool that you are bringing up where they started. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is great to see what the expectations were. I thought they were going to make the playoffs. You know, they made the playoffs last year, and then, you know, now they had a healthy Deshaun Watson, and yet now he's anything but healthy. As a report comes out yesterday that Watson had a setback in his rehab from his Achilles injury. That I'm really interested in, because if it happened under Brown supervision, okay, whatever. If that happened on his own, doing something on his own, they could call it a non-football injury and not have to pay him if the setback costs him time. So that's a very interesting one to me.
30th, New York Giants, who started at 28.
Okay, so they didn't move that much, and the Giants are retaining general manager Joe Schoen and head coach Brian Daboll. They announced yesterday in a statement. I think Daboll's a pretty good coach, and I am okay with them bringing him back. Joe Shane, I think the Giants had a good draft class. When you think about Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy, and that must be what saved Joe Shane, because overall, I wouldn't think his batting average is really all that great or that merited coming back. I mean, they've gotten worse every year, really, under his watch. You know what? I'm actually gonna, Jack. I'm gonna make this before I forget to do it later. I'm gonna make this my Labatt take of the week, presented by Labatt Blue Light, to pristine Canadian Pilsner. Enjoy your beers together so you can live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly beer. Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. I'm never going to be the guy calling for people to get fired. I know what that's like. Don't wish that on anyone. And when in doubt, I usually will tell you to pick continuity, pick staying the course. That said, I am really surprised by the level of job security some of these general managers have. Joe Shane with the Giants, Chris Ballard with the Colts, Trent Baalke with the Jags, even Elliott Wolf with the Patriots does not have a good batting average in his first season calling the shots in New England, yet they all keep the job. Here's the major issue with that, right? Those guys all knew they were on the hot seat. They're kind of getting one more year. What do you think they're going to do this year? What would you do this year? They're going to make decisions that are in the best for the short term, aka this year, as opposed to the long-term health of the franchise, because they are concerned about their job security as they should be. That's the issue when you keep a general manager who clearly was at least on the hot seat.
Next, New England Patriots, 29th. They started the year at 32.
Oh, right, so they moved up. Hey, listen. And Gerard Mayo got fired for that. He moved up in the all-important Ross Tucker Football Podcast Power Rankings and still got fired. How's that supposed to happen?
New Orleans Saints, 28th. They moved from 25.
This is so helpful, Jack. By the way, Jack and I, as you can tell, clearly did not discuss this before we started recording. I was not prepared for this, but I'm loving this. I can't even see it. I mean, I guess I could if I scrolled, but I can't see week one. So it's like the big reveal every time we do a new team. Right. And so the Saints probably would have been about 25 or better if Derek Carr didn't get hurt. So they probably ended up about where I thought they would be.
Jaguars at 27th. They slid from 17.
Ooh, yep. Well, that's how Doug Peterson got fired. I do think they have more talent, especially in that division, than to be down here at 27th. I am surprised that they're keeping Trent Baalke. I'd have to go through the drafts, but he's been there a while now. And yes, they do have talent, but it's not, it's about building a team. It's not about just acquiring talent. And while they've acquired a lot of talent, if you look at all those contracts, how many of those are you really happy that you did? How many of those would you do over again if you're the Jaguars?
Jets, 26. They were 14th to start the year.
Yeah, that was a surprise. I really thought with a healthy Aaron Rodgers that they would play better than they did. They were a major, major disappointment. They're looking for a new head coach, new GM. They're interviewing anybody and everybody, which I think makes a lot of sense. I think that's smart.
Raiders, 25th. They started the year at 30.
So the Raiders actually moved up 5 spots where I thought they would be. Okay. Former teammate Antonio Pierce, my first couple years. That's hilarious too, because he at his press conference, are you the head? He's like, until somebody tells me different. Like he doesn't know if he's staying, he doesn't know if he's going, just twisting in the wind. I'd probably give him another year. You know, I'm not a fan of giving a guy 1 year with no quarterback, which, by the way, maybe that's why Mayo did only get 1 year, because he kind of has a quarterback, but he didn't have a great roster around him.
Chicago Bears, 24th. They started the year at 16.
Obviously a disappointment, and they were pretty high at one point. I mean, at one point, They were getting up there in the 16s and whatever when they were playing really well. But that I'm convinced that Hail Maryland against the Commanders, that changed everything. They would have finished around 16th, I think, if that hadn't happened. It just totally, utterly destroyed them. Kudos to them, by the way, for getting a win, finding a way to get a win in that last game against the Packers. That means a lot to Bears fans, means a lot to Packers fans that they were able to do that. They also are interviewing a lot of different people.
San Francisco 49ers at 23. They started at 2.
Wow. They're like the opposite of the West Shore upgrade. They're the every other company downgrade. They're the every company that does windows, doors, and bathrooms that isn't West Shore upgrade. So we all know what happened there. It's a lost season, the injuries, the whole deal. I would expect them and frankly be surprised if they don't bounce back next year. Although, they do have guys that are not getting any younger, right? Especially like a Trent Williams. Some of their guys are kind of getting up there in years now.
22nd, Indianapolis Colts, who started the year 22.
Finishing exact same spot?
1 out of 3 teams this year.
Wow. You already did all of that already? Oh, you have it matched up next to each other, I bet. So that is about right. It's about where I thought they would be. The real thing for them is what they do at quarterback. Whether or not they really think that Anthony Richardson is the answer. I think even if they're still hoping he is, they probably recognize they need to bring somebody else in next year.
Dallas Cowboys 21st. They started at 12.
Right. Well, the Dak injury was a major part of that, although they weren't playing all that great even when they had him earlier in the year. And this is a situation where Mike McCarthy is another one who we don't really know about yet. There's no statement been released by the Raiders on Antonio Pierce or the on the Cowboys on Mike McCarthy that those guys will be back or not.
Miami Dolphins 20th. They started at 13.
Miami Dolphins number 20. They would have finished 13 if Tua played in every game this year, but he didn't, and he doesn't. I think he's only done that one time. If you're the Dolphins, you need to make sure that you always have a very good backup because you simply cannot count on Tua Tagovailoa to be available for every game the entire season, which is tough when you're paying him as much money as they are. We'll see what happens with Tyreek Hill and that situation with his comments after the game. I, for one, am shocked that he is being a malcontent.
19th, Arizona Cardinals. They move up from 26.
They were 26 to start the year? Okay. That both of those sound about right. They doubled their win total from 4-13 to 8-9. They are headed in the right direction. They clearly are still missing a few players at some key positions, namely edge rusher, that I think that they will go out and get this offseason, and I would not be surprised. Cardinals are probably a nice surprise pick. Maybe not surprise, but I think the next step for them is to now get to double-digit wins and make the playoffs, which won't be easy in that division because the Rams and Seattle both got double-digit wins, and you're going to have the Niners coming back strong.
18th, Carolina Panthers. They were 31st.
Wow. 18th. I am surprised by that. I didn't know I had them. I know I had 31st that low, but they were much better over these last 6 or 7 weeks. Even the games they lost, for the most part, they were right there and competitive in those. And I think they feel good, and rightfully so, about Bryce Young. That's the key piece, right? Because when they benched Bryce Young, it felt like for sure he was done. And now instead, Bryce Young feels like you should be pretty encouraged about him going into year 3.
17th is the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons, they started the year at 15th.
Okay, so not as bad as I thought, but it's the way they finished that was disappointing, and it's the fact that they don't have that Kirk Cousins ended up not being the guy. So that becomes fascinating now in Atlanta to see what happens with Kirk Cousins. I mean, he has a no trade clause, so he'll just refuse everything and then be able to sign with whatever team he wants. Although I guess the flip side is the Falcons can just keep him as long as they want, which limits his options if he won't allow them to trade him. But I don't think anybody wants to pay that money anyway, so they're going to have to cut him regardless, I think.
Seattle Seahawks are 16th. They started at 23.
Mike McDonald can coach. He did a terrific job for the Ravens as the DC, now as the Seahawks head coach, and he's not afraid to make, big moves. He fired Ryan Grubb, their offensive coordinator, yesterday. Even though they went 10-7, clearly McDonald felt like, I think his quote was, "We were not going in the direction I was looking to go on from a standpoint of the offensive side of the ball." So I give him credit for that. And my number one ranked bath remodel company, westshorehome.com/Ross. Listen, they are getting the New Year's started right with a flash sale where you get 20% off all projects to start the New Year's off the right way. Plus, they're giving you an extra $500 off. Plus, you get the extra $1,000 off by going to my website, westshorehome.com/Ross. Let me just ask you guys, do you think that I would let someone come into my house and remodel 2 of my showers if I didn't trust them implicitly and know they did a great job? My wife would kill me. No chance. Or the doors? No chance. My wife runs the show. I freely admit that. I need to make sure that these guys can deliver. They can. westshorehome.com/Ross. westshorehome.com/Ross. Smirnoff knows there's no I in the playoffs. Absolutely not. Football is a we thing. And Smirnoff's the world's #1 vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL. So many opportunities still here in January to watch football and make delicious Smirnoff cocktails. I mean, just think about the college football playoff Thursday, Friday, then the NFL playoffs Saturday, Sunday, Monday, going to be incredible. This holiday season, when you're enjoying the game and your cocktails, please make sure to drink responsibly. Take a minute, make a plan, never drive impaired. Smirnoff, we do game days. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York. Please not share with anyone under legal drinking age. Playoff season is here, and the only thing better than game day predictions are the foods that come with them. Introducing Tums Fantasy Foodball Pool, brought to you by Tums, America's #1 antacid brand, and DraftKings. Each week leading up to the big game, turn football into foodball by building your best game day plate for a shot at winning a share of $40,000 in cash prizes. Inspired by game day bites and tailgate treats. Join the Tums foodball action during this playoff season's most heartburn-inducing time. Visit DraftKings.com/Tums foodball between January 6th and February 9th to enter for free and select your game day plate before the start of each playoff round. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at DraftKings.com/Tums foodball. When you feel the heat of the game, don't let heartburn keep you on the sidelines. Try Tums Chewy Bites with a tasty outer shell and soft center for fast relief of heartburn, acid indigestion, and upset stomach. Check out Tums Gummy Bites featuring a soft and easy-to-chew format for fast relief of occasional heartburn, acid indigestion, sour stomach, and upset stomach. Both available at Amazon, Target, and other major retailers nationwide. And for more heartburn relief fun, be sure to follow Tums at Tums Official on Instagram and TikTok.
15th, the Steelers. They started at 19.
Okay, so the Steelers moved up a few spots. Man, they were way higher than this till they lost the last 4 games. I will see them in person on Saturday when they play against the Baltimore Ravens. I'll be on the sideline for that one. We'll see if Tomlin can figure something out this week and can muddy that game up against the Ravens somehow and find a way to shock the world. That would surprise me with the way that those two teams have been playing as of late.
Cincinnati Bengals, 14th. They started at 9.
Okay. Yeah, well, we all know what happened to them. Just a disappointing start to the year. And disappointing enough that Zach Taylor, their head coach, made a bunch of moves as well. He fired defensive coordinator Louis Anarumo, who I think is a really good coach. They definitely had a bad year, definitely disappointing year. But I think Lou is a good coach, and I think he'll get hired somewhere else. Offensive line coach Frank Pollock, they were not great there, and some other coaches as well. Again, I never root for coaches, or anyone for that matter, to get fired. It's not fun. I've been there way too many times. But ultimately, when you have a disappointing season, Zach Taylor, he needs to do what he needs to do to try to get this team to be better next year.
13th is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were 20th.
Wow, I'm surprised I had them that low at 20th after what they had done the year before, winning that division. I guess I just felt pretty confident the Falcons would be the best team in that division. But Baker and the offensive line came around. Baker, I think, took it even to another higher level from what he did last year. Very, very impressed by Jason Light, their general manager, and what he's done, especially in the post-Brady transition.
Houston Texans are 12th. They were projected to be 8th to start the year.
How about that? Yeah, I mean, they're about where I thought they would be. I thought they might take a step forward with Stephon Diggs. I think Stroud has taken a step backwards, although he looked good in that one series on Sunday against the Titans. They've even added some really good pieces. Danielle Hunter, the rookie DBs, Kalen Bullock, and Kamari Lassiter. I mean, they've gotten better in a bunch of areas. They've just gotten worse at O-line and quarterback.
11th, Denver Broncos. They started at 29th.
That's impressive, right? When you hear something like that, this is really how they should do the Coach of the Year rankings, right? Based on how much they move up in the all-important power rankings. So kudos to Sean Payton. Did a terrific job with that team. And obviously, Bo Nix, a much better player than any of us anticipated. And Payton deserves the lion's share of the credit for that.
LA Rams are 10th. They started at 11.
Wow, okay. I kind of feel like I nailed, like when they're close, I feel like I nailed it. That's about right. That they, and it's interesting that they didn't really care who they were going to play for the seeding. They could have really battled to be the 3 seed, although the Bucks won anyway. So maybe they realize, oh no, wait, how would that have worked? If the Rams won, they would have been the 3, or it would have been the Bucks since the Bucks won?
That I don't know the tiebreakers there.
I forget what the case was there. At any rate, the Rams home game, Vikings, that's a juicy one Monday night. That'll be fun.
9th, Washington Commanders. They started at 21st.
Terrific job, Dan Quinn. And this is why, by the way, the off-season shows are important. How many guys, Jack, do we have come on? Phil Simms and Sean King and obviously Greg Cosell and others that all raved about Jaden Daniels when they broke him down, and he ended up being everything they thought he could be and more.
LA Chargers, they're 8th. They started at 18.
Kudos to Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman, the entire coaching staff. They had kind of that dip towards the end of the year, but now they finished strong with 3 straight wins, and they should be feeling pretty confident heading into that game Saturday against the Houston Texans. That's a fun matchup, whereas I feel like both those teams have quarterbacks that are good enough to really give them a chance.
7th.
Oh, wait, I forgot, Jack. San Diego Superchargers, San Diego Chargers.
7th, Green Bay Packers. They started at 5.
Yeah, they're about where I thought they'd be, although they kind of limped to the end here with these last couple losses. Now they lose Christian Watson, who's their best deep threat. Doesn't feel like the Packers have nearly the same level of momentum going into, the playoffs as they did last year when they man, they could have gone to the Super Bowl the way they were playing last year.
6th, Baltimore Ravens, who started the year at 6.
Nice. Nailed it. You know, they were better offensively than I think I was anticipating them being, but not as good defensively. Although I think that has gotten better these last couple of games, the defensive side of the ball, which makes them really primed and poised to be able to go on a run here. They are good enough to go to the Super Bowl and win it when they are firing on all cylinders. We'll see if that's the case. Sounds like Zay Flowers is out at least for this week, which is obviously not good. They probably can beat the Steelers without him, but they're going to need Zay Flowers against the Buffalo Bills if that's what happens in the divisional round.
5th, Minnesota Vikings, who started the year 24th.
The Minnesota Vikings. Yep, this is why Kevin O'Connell will very likely be the coach of the year, to get this type of production out of Sam Darnold, to have this squad play this well. Because it wasn't just the quarterback. I mean, they lost Danielle Hunter. They lost some guys that I thought, I don't know. Well, Kevin O'Connell's a heck of a coach. Now they have a very tough path, obviously, having to go ahead and, win 3 games on the road. But they don't need to win 3 games on the road. They need to start by winning Monday night against the LA Rams. Figure it out after that, Minnesota Vikings.
4th, the Buffalo Bills, who started at 7.
That's interesting that the Bills started at 7th. I think that's because they had lost so many of their core guys from over the years. The Jordan Poyer and Tre'Davious White, and most notably Stephon Diggs and Mitch Morse. So I kind of forgot about that. They were so good this year, you forget about that. But no, they've earned it. So kudos to the Bills for moving up the ranks, and we'll see if they can go on a run here. It would be very nice if one of those 2 quarterbacks could break through, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, and get his team to a Super Bowl.
3rd, Philadelphia Eagles, who started at 4th.
Eagles, Eagles. So the Eagles are clearly, obviously, about what we thought they would be. The question now really becomes whether or not they're going to be able, for me, to beat a good Packers team at home. And then also, Jalen Hurts is still in the concussion protocol. I would imagine he get out of that soon, but you don't really hear that very often for a guy, it being almost 2.5 weeks.
2nd, Detroit Lions.
Unbelievably impressed. Where'd they start, Jack? You didn't say.
3rd, my apologies.
Okay, come on, dude. You got to finish strong. So, the Lions, terrific season. We thought they would. They delivered. They have a great chance to go to the Super Bowl, which would be incredible. First time in franchise history.
And 1st, starting the year at number 1, Kansas City Chiefs.
Same as it ever was. I still don't know what that's from. Do you know what that's from?
It's a song, Days Gone By, Talking Heads.
Yeah, I don't even know that song, but I know same as it ever was. So it is just such a luxury for the Chiefs and Lions to be able to chill this week while all these other teams have to play in competitive, hard-fought games. Kudos to both those teams. They earned it. Other than that, I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. By far the best Valentine's Day gift you could ever get anyone. myfrontpagestory.com. We also love backofficescheduler.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture, and Pizza Boy Brewing.